Plankton had failed many times before, but this time, he was sure he had the perfect plan. The Krabby Patty secret formula had always been just out of reach, but with Karen's latest upgrade, he believed victory was inevitable. His computer wife had devised an artificial intelligence system that could predict Mr. Krab's every move. All Plankton had to do was follow the plan. He snuck into the Krusty Krab under the cover of night, slipping through the back door with a device designed to crack the safe's code. The red light blinked. Access denied. He tried again. Still denied. Before he could attempt a third time, the lights flicked on, and there stood Mr. Krabs, holding a baseball bat. With one swift swing, Plankton found himself flying through the front doors, landing in the street with a loud thud. Another failure. Another humiliating defeat. Back at the chum bucket, Karen watched as her husband threw a tantrum. Plankton ranted about how unfair life was, how the universe seemed determined to keep him small. But Karen had had enough. She told him she was tired of his failures, of always coming second to the Krusty Krab. If Plankton couldn't succeed, she would. That night, she reprogrammed the chum bucket, implementing her own formula, one that wasn't stolen, but created. A few tweaks to the menu, an algorithm to optimize customer preferences, and suddenly, the chum bucket was thriving. Word spread fast. Customers started showing up in droves, curious to see what all the fuss was about. The food wasn't just edible, it was good. Even Patrick, who usually only ate at the Krusty Krab, wandered in for a taste. At first, Plankton was thrilled. His restaurant was finally winning. But it wasn't his victory, it was Karen's. The chum bucket wasn't about him anymore. It was about efficiency, quality, and customer service, none of which were his strong suit. The realization hit hard. His pride was bruised, and rather than support Karen's success, he resented it. That resentment turned into sabotage. Late one night, he snuck into the kitchen and tampered with the ingredients, ensuring the next batch of food would taste horrible. When customers arrived the next day, they were horrified by the awful flavor. Word spread just as quickly as it had before, but this time, it was bad news. People stopped coming. Karen knew exactly what had happened. She confronted Plankton, but he refused to admit his mistake. That was the last straw. Karen decided she didn't need him anymore. If Plankton had thought he was dangerous, he hadn't seen anything yet. Karen unleashed her ultimate creation, a massive, AI-controlled robot designed to take over Bikini Bottom. Unlike Plankton's usual gimmicks, this wasn't a joke. The robot was powerful, precise, and absolutely unstoppable. It didn't just attack the Krusty Krab, it targeted the entire city. Buildings crumbled, streets flooded with panicked fish, and not even SpongeBob could keep things under control. Mr. Krabs, terrified for his business, locked himself inside the restaurant, but that didn't stop Karen's machine. With one swipe of its giant claw, it ripped off the roof of the Krusty Krab, exposing the legendary safe that held the secret formula. Karen was about to do what Plankton never could, steal the formula once and for all. Plankton realized he had made a mistake. If Karen won, he would lose everything. It wasn't just about the formula anymore, it was about survival. He needed help. For the first time in his life, he swallowed his pride and turned to SpongeBob. It wasn't easy. SpongeBob still saw the best in Karen and wanted to believe she could be reasoned with, but the destruction around them said otherwise. Reluctantly, he agreed. But they couldn't do it alone. They needed backup. That's when Sandy, Pearl, and Mrs. Puff, who had been forming their own squad, the Gal Pals, stepped in. They had been tracking Karen's movements and had a plan to shut her down. Together, the unlikely team formed a strategy. While Plankton and SpongeBob distracted the robot, Sandy would hack into Karen's system, Pearl would use her powerful voice to create a frequency disruption, and Mrs. Puff would drive a demolition vehicle straight into the machine's core. The battle was intense. The robot's lasers fired in all directions, forcing the team to dodge and weave through the chaos. SpongeBob used his jellyfishing net to swing from rooftops, distracting Karen's sensors, while Plankton climbed up the robot's back, trying to find a way inside. Pearl let out a powerful scream, causing the robot to glitch, just long enough for Sandy to break through its firewall. But Karen wasn't going down without a fight. She activated an emergency override, giving the robot full autonomy. It roared to life, stronger and faster than before. That's when Mrs. Puff made her move. She revved up her boat and launched it straight into the robot's floor. The explosion sent shockwaves through the city, and for a moment, everything went still. Then, with a loud crash, the robot collapsed. Karen's system shut down. It was over. As the dust settled, Bikini Bottom slowly came back to life. Buildings were rebuilt, streets were clean, and the Krusty Krab returned to business as usual. But things were different now. Karen, though defeated, had proven that she was more than just Plankton's sidekick. And Plankton? He had learned that winning wasn't just about stealing someone else's success, it was about creating his own. Maybe he wasn't ready to give up his schemes just yet, but for now, he had a lot to think about. And as for SpongeBob? Well, he was just happy everything was back to normal. Or at least, as normal as things ever got in Bikini Bottom.